Steel City. Is everybody ready to go? Let's proclaim the greatest radio show.
Welcome, fans, to our Steelers preview show. I'm your host, Jim Sella, here with Johnny Parlay. Parlay, how you doing this week after the bye week? What'd you even do during the bye week?
Oh, I feel refreshed. Parlay's feeling good. Actually, didn't even tell you this, host Jim Sella, but I actually saw Mike Tomlin on Friday night.
What? What
I was out with a buddy from old stomping days up at UPJ Pitt Johnstown, and a buddy was in town, so we went down to East Liberty, a bar down there called the, I'll give it a shout out here, if I can remember, the Urban Tap. And we get in there, it's sort of swanky, you know, hipstery, and look across the bar, and there's Tomlin, and I mean, it was hilarious because the dude was wearing a Steelers shirt.
Believe it.
And a black hat. Like, he literally looked like how he looks on Sunday. Like,
yeah, game day Tomlin. That's because dude's always in game day mode.
I think it's just because he's like a cartoon character. He only has one outfit.
He's got the freshest hair I've ever seen, too. He's lined up good.
You rarely see it because he's always got that ball cap on.
Yeah.
I mean, having a couple drinks around with some friends, but no, I'll give him a pass. It's a bye week, and it's only Indy.
Fans, any questions or comments you have for us, or if you want to see any of Parlay's pictures of Tomlin at the bar, follow us on Twitter at bet_the_spread. Follow me on Twitter at betjimthewin.
Oh, I gave him his space. I respected him. He was getting pretty well respected. Not too much fanfare. People were letting him just, you know, have his space. Was
he eating peanuts at the bar with drinking his beer?
It looked like he was having some sort of swanky hors d'oeuvre of some sort. Didn't look like peanuts. Looked probably about like a $19 dish that was the size of, you know, a cupcake.
Yeah, so he's rich. He's too good for peanuts.
Oh, hell no.
Parlay, the Steelers roll into Indianapolis this week. We beat the crap out of Indianapolis the last couple years. I don't know the exact numbers, but I mean, Ben's had one of his best games going against Indy. He had one of his 5 touchdown games. The Colts are terrible at 3-6 this year. They just put Andrew Luck on IR. Jacoby Brissett, I mean, he's done serviceable considering they brought him over a few games into the season, and he really hasn't even got to learn the offense too well. But it only scoring 18 points a game and the Colts giving up damn near 29 points a game. This has got to be, on paper, one of the easiest games for the Steelers this year. Well,
that's what they said about Chicago, but yeah, I hear you on that. It's pretty much a mismatch, but Steelers on the road, Steelers a game they're supposed to win. Who knows?
Yeah, the Steelers, they like to drop those games that they're supposed to win. Really, though, that mostly happens early on in the season. You don't see it happen as much down the stretch or in the second half. The Steelers actually hold the best record in the NFL since 2014 in the second half of the year at 19-5. Only 5 games lost in the second half of the year since 2014. That's ballin'.
Yeah, I can believe that. And I think if they went back and played Chicago or Jacksonville again, I think they would easily clean up. I think those were flukes, but I mean, this will be a good determining factor of whether those are flukes or not, how they perform against these lowly Indianapolis Colts.
If you were Mike Tomlin, what are you doing with Martavis Bryant in this game? Are you going to start him, or are you going to keep rolling with the hot hand in Juju and then just kind of mix Bryant in as they go?
I think you got to split time with them. I think you got to cater to Martavis' little attitude, and he's going to whine if he doesn't get his touches. So I think they're going to play to that. I think they will give him his chances. I mean, if there's ever a week where you could sort of stray from your game plan and just try to make your players happy and maybe get them some stats, it would be this week. I think start off with your disciplined game plan through the first quarter and then see how it's going. If Indy's giving you a battle, then you got to stick to your game plan. And if that game plan is to keep it away from Martavis and target Juju, who's on fire, then I think you do that.
In 2014, Bryant caught 5 passes for 83 yards and 2 touchdowns against the Colts. In 2015, he caught 4 passes for 114 yards, including a 68-yard touchdown against the Colts. Last year, he didn't play because he smoked too much reefer and got suspended. Martavis, this might be one of those teams that he just tortures, kind of like the Cincinnati Bengals.
Yeah, it could be, and players do have those teams who they just step up against, and we'll certainly see about that. But, I mean, he has proved himself irrelevant to an extent, and the last thing you want to do as someone who gets paid to play at a sporting event is be irrelevant, and they certainly didn't need him against Detroit, and, I mean, they don't think they need him against Indy, but if that's his team that he chooses to slaughter, then go with it, I suppose.
Now, the one thing, I don't know if I should say I'm concerned about this, but it's definitely something that I think about. The Steelers were 6-1 under Mike Tomlin after the bye week in his first 9 games, but they've dropped the last 3 games after the bye week. What is it about the Steelers in the bye week that screws things up recently? I mean, good Lord, Andy Reid for his career is 16-2 after the bye week. The bye weeks are supposed to be when you come out so fresh, ready to go, great game plan against the other teams. What's causing the Steelers to just lay an egg against these guys the last 3 years?
Well, it could be the opponent coming off the bye week. That might just all be circumstance, or it could just be a lack of discipline. Like I said, I seen Tomlin out at a bar on Friday night, which obviously is over a week away from game day, but I don't know. Do you think you'd ever see Bill Belichick out at a bar on a Friday night?
I don't think Bill Belichick ever leaves the Patriots facility. I don't even think the dude goes home. I think he just lives there.
Well, it's working, so I don't know. I think it's probably a discipline thing to an extent, but I'm sure it also has a lot to do with the opponent following a bye week, which if I had that in front of me, I could probably make a better claim for that. And I don't know who Andy Reid's playing after his bye weeks, but that didn't work out for him last week.
So what's the biggest surprise about the Steeler team so far halfway through the year? For me, it's got to be the fact that the defense is carrying the team and the offense is trying to play catch-up. I don't want to say they're struggling because they're doing enough to win, which is what good teams do. But everyone expected the Steelers' offense to come out and really be the driving force in this team. And this year, it really seems to be the defense. One of the highlights I can say is the offense has only allowed 10 sacks. That's tied for the second fewest in the league. And the Steelers' defense has 26 sacks this year. That's tied for 4th most in the league. So we're getting to the other team's quarterback, and we're keeping our quarterback upright. That's usually a recipe for success.
Yeah, they're definitely doing the things that you didn't think they would do effectively. The offense is not high-flying. The defense looks pretty solid for what was expected coming into the season. And the only thing I can really say is that just they still don't seem to have everything moving as a solid, well-oiled machine, so to speak. It's just nothing is consistent, and nothing is cohesive with them at this point still, which is sort of scary, I think.
Yeah, it's weird. You would think by this time in the year that offense would be clicking, especially with the fact they've been together for a while. It's not like these guys were all pieced together in the offseason. This offensive line's been together for a while. Obviously, Ben and AB has been there for a while. Le'Veon Bell's back into the mix. They really were just looking for that other breakout receiver opposite Antonio Brown. They finally got that in the Detroit game with Juju. But, I mean, we don't really know if that's going to happen. Obviously, Juju's not going to get a 97-yard touchdown pass every week. So they really need offensively somebody else to step up. They're not really getting a lot out of their tight ends. I know Vance McDonald's been battling some injuries. Xavier Grimble's kind of just lost in the shuffle. And the outlaw Jesse James really hasn't lived up to the hype.
He's invisible, man.
I was excited about the draft pick with Jesse James, but I don't know if I ever really believed he could truly be a number 1 guy. He has no speed. It looks like he's running in quicksand with cement boots on backwards against 200-mile-an-hour wind as this guy runs down the field. I mean, it's pretty pathetic.
Yeah, pretty bad.
Parlay, the other thing that worries me about this Steelers team is their -1 turnover ratio. And I know you can say that stat is a little skewed because of the 5-interception game by Roethlisberger. Those all came in the same game. They lost that game. So it doesn't matter if you throw 1 or if you throw 10. If you lose the game, you lose the game. As far as, those stats carrying over doesn't really mean much. But it still is a little scary, although Big Ben has definitely cut back on the interceptions. And this defense has really stepped up. And I hoped that they would get a little more turnovers than they have, but they kind of feel like they're right on that cusp. Hayden had his first a few weeks back. Ryan Shazier is dominating the middle of the field this year. He's definitely stayed healthy all year, which has made it so much easier for him to play well. I don't know if Artie Burns has one yet or not. I think he may have one. But you feel like these guys got to be getting a couple more turnovers. Part of it could be the fact that teams have been able to run the ball so well on the Steelers, so we're not really forcing the quarterback into any bad throws to get those turnovers. Do you think down the second half of the year the Steelers will be able to right that ship and get into the plus ratio?
I think it's possible. I don't honestly think it's that important. They're just not making, explosive big plays on defense. They're just slow and steady, and it's working out. So I don't think it's as important as, when it comes to winning losses, not that important. As Tomlin likes to say, the splash play, even though that's more relative to offense. I think they're fine being right around even. Ben is throwing a lot of picks this year, and I don't think that's sort of gonna slow down dramatically. I think he'll still throw one or two a game here coming up. I really do. So no, I don't see it as that important. But as long as they keep playing boring defense and it's working, who cares?
Well, how about that red zone defense against Detroit a few weeks ago? The Steelers' defense has struggled in the red zone. The offense has struggled in the red zone. But that defense came up with a couple goal line stands and really is the only reason that the Pittsburgh Steelers won that game. So I'm definitely looking forward to seeing some more of that come red zone time for this Steelers defense.
Yeah, that was quite impressive. I don't know what got into them. Something about Detroit, I don't know. Channeling the bus, maybe, I don't know.
All right, Parlay, in 2013, we already talked how the Steelers are good going in the second half of the year a couple minutes ago. In 2013, in the last 8 games, they went 6-2. 2014, they went 6-2. 2015, they went 6-2. Last year, they went 7-1. What are they going to do this year in the last 8 games?
Well, that's 6-2. Sounds like a trend to me. And the only really teams they have left of any relevance are the Patriots and who else they got left of relevance?
Well, they had Houston, but they lost Deshaun Watson, so you're really not too worried about them anymore.
No issue there. But I forget. I remember looking at it earlier. They had
You got Green Bay with no Aaron Rodgers. You got Cincinnati, who's garbage. Baltimore Ravens.
I could see Cincy playing them top. So, the only potential losses really should be the Pats and Cincy.
Marcus Mariota. Sorry to cut you off, Parlay. That's who it is. They play the Titans on November 16th, and Marcus Mariota is probably the best quarterback they'll face other than Tom Brady the rest of the year.
I still feel less confident with Cincy than I do with Titans. I just feel like that team they can play them tight any day. So I think I'm going to go 6-2 then. Keep it with the trend.
Yeah, you got to think that you're going to at least lose one of these games, probably. I can't say for sure. They're not going to run the table, I don't think, and go 14-2. But, man, you look, you got the Colts, no Andrew Luck. Then you got the Titans, okay, you got Mariota. Green Bay, no Rodgers. Cincinnati and Baltimore, division games, could be tough, could go either way. Tom Brady against the Patriots, no Deshaun Watson for the Texans, and then you got the Browns, and who really gives a crap who their quarterback is because Roethlisberger has more wins than any of those jamokes since 1999 in their own city. Dudes are beat. So for me, I think I'm going to go 6-2 as well. Maybe even 7-1, but knowing the Steelers, I'm going to go 6-2 and say they finish at 12-4. Now the next question is 12-4 good enough for the number 1 seed in the AFC? The Patriots are 6-2 as well. So if both teams go 12-4, whoever wins that game is going to decide who gets the number 1 seed.
Yeah, I'm feeling number 2 seed.
Number 2 seed wouldn't be too bad. You still get a few home playoff games, but I'm still trying to avoid that all treacherous game in Foxborough. All right, Parlay, over-under time.
Do it.
The Steelers are averaging 254.9 passing yards per game. That's good for 9th in the league. Over under 250 passing yards for Big Ben against the Colts.
I think that's an easy over. I think he's going to be slinging around in the dome.
The Colts are 31st against the pass in the NFL. Listen, their defense is just terrible. The Colts are 32nd points per game defensively, 31st in yards and passing yards allowed, and 17th in rushing yards allowed. They're beat.
They're pretty bad.
All right, the Steelers are averaging 108.9 rushing yards per game, good for 17th in the league. 108.9 yards is only good for 17th in the league. That's crazy. You would think that's more somewhere around like top 10.
Yeah, in this league, the way it is today, you would definitely think that. It's very surprising.
Over under 100 yards rushing for the Steelers this week.
As a team, I'll go over slightly.
What about Lev Bell?
89.
89. That's pretty specific there, Parlay. Any touchdowns?
1 touchdown. 3-yarder.
All right, so we talked about all the sacks that the defense is getting this year. Over under 3 sacks for the Steelers defense against the Colts.
I'm going to say under. Brissett, he's pretty mobile. He's a shifty little guy. I don't think they're going to catch him maybe once.
26 in 8 games. What's that? A little more than 3 a game, right?
Yep.
A little more than 3. So, yeah. So you're going under?
Yep.
All right. The Colts are averaging 98.7 rushing yards per game offensively. The Steelers are giving up 106.6 rushing yards per game defensively. Over under 100 yards rushing for the Colts.
Now I'm going to have to go under. I think the Steelers are just going to impose their will on them this Sunday, and I don't see much offense at all generated from them, especially the ground game. So I got to go under.
Stephon Tuitt could be back this week. I believe he's still on the injury report, but there have been some articles coming out saying that he may actually play this week. Mike Mitchell is expected to get back in the game after taking some time off. He got injured in the last game versus Detroit. So if both of these guys play, I'm not a huge Mike Mitchell fan, but as far as Stephon Tuitt goes, if this guy plays, this Colts offense is going to go nowhere.
They're in trouble.
All right, Parlay. Give it to me. What is your official keys to victory for this week against the Colts?
Mistake-free football for dang sure. You're on the road. You've been playing down to teams, which I'm sure they'll play down to Indy, but as long as they don't make mistakes as far as turnovers and foolish calls like reverses or halfback passes, stuff they don't need to do, as long as they stick to a solid, no-mistake game plan, it shouldn't be a problem. And that would be my main key, I think. Aside from that, defense just play mediocre, I think, would be fine.
Yeah, really, for me, the offense just needs to keep running the ball effectively. The offensive line needs to get a little healthy. Marcus Gilbert being hurt is killing them right now. Not only because Gilbert is one of the best right tackles in football, but when he's in, they can use Chris Hubbard as a second tight end on running plays to get some better blocking. Well, obviously, when Gilbert's out, Hubbard's starting at right tackle, so you can't move him over to that second tight end position. So that kind of hinders you a little bit in the run game. So I think they really just need to keep that run game going. Like you said, play that mistake-free football. But also, they got to play opportunistic defense. Jacoby Brissett, just like you mentioned a little bit ago, he's a shifty guy. He's going to run around back there. You cannot just do a conventional pass rush against this guy. He's going to get out of the pocket. He's going to make plays with his legs. And, I mean, quarterbacks like that have killed the Steelers in the past, even when they had great defenses. Steve McNair used to run all over the Steelers defense, and that was when Dick LeBeau in this defense was top 5 for multiple years in a row. Not comparing Jacoby Brissett at all to Steve McNair, just saying they both have a similar style as far as they can make plays with their legs. So that's something that Pittsburgh needs to watch. You can't just come off the corners and try to rush that guy and hold him in the pocket because he's going to move around. So they got to not get crazy, but just get a little unconventional in their pass rush. Bring guys from different places, up the middle, off the side, bring some corners. Not all the time. The Steelers have been able to get consistent pressure with rushing, usually only 4 guys this season. So you don't want to sell out the house and then leave dudes wide open. But you got to get to Brissett, especially up the middle. force him to make some mistakes early, rattle him a little bit early. He's a solid quarterback, but he's nobody that should be able to beat the Steelers defense the way they're playing this year.
Yeah, he's no Blake Bortles.
Yeah. All right, so what is your official prediction for this week?
Well, earlier in the week, I was sort of thinking, this might get tight. I even thought Indy has a chance, and it'd be a nice value bet, I think, on the money line to take Indy, because you never know, especially the way the Steelers have played down teams this year. And looking back at Indy's losses, they haven't been that dramatic. They have had a couple where they just got smoked. But, they lost to Cincy 2 weeks ago by a point. They lost to Tennessee 2 weeks before that they lost by 14, but it was a fluke end of the game touchdown, so they really only lost by 7. And then 2 weeks before that, Cleveland, they won by 3, and then they lost by 3 the week before that. So they've been playing tight, and if it's not tight, quite honestly, it's been a blowout. And I was leaning towards the tight result earlier in the week, but the more I think about it, this young quarterback, he's got potential, I think. I do like him. He's not a bad option as a backup, that's for damn sure. But I'm thinking Steelers are probably going to roll 27-13.
Covering the 9.5 spread I've seen it open up at.
Yeah, I don't see that being any problem.
See, I don't know. I guess it's definitely possible to win by more than 9.5, considering the defense has really been holding teams, especially in the red zone against Detroit. I just don't know. When you think about it, say the Colts score 17 points. The Steelers are going to have to score 27 to be able to beat them, as far as the spread goes anyway. And they've been struggling to put up points. So I don't know if I'm as quick to go with the points. Still definitely going to take the Steelers in the game as far as just a straight-up victory. The Steelers are the better team. Come on. Anybody that looks at it knows. You look on paper, at almost every position, the Steelers are better. They've shored up that secondary so much this year compared to last year. It's not a liability for them anymore. So this should be an easy victory for Pittsburgh. I don't think they're going to cover the spread, though. I'm going to say Pittsburgh wins it 25-17.
25. So you're thinking Tomlin's going to go for 2. First touchdown of the game.
Yeah, go for 2. They might kick some field goals. Who knows? This offense has been struggling a little bit in the red zone, so it wouldn't surprise me if they had to kick a couple field goals. Six field goals and a touchdown, baby.
Wow. Busy day. Yeah, I agree on that, because like I said, I thought earlier in the week, I bet you this ends up being close, but, as I went through the week, Franco Harris visited me in a dream. He said, not this week, Parlay. They're coming, and they're bringing it.
Damn, so you've seen Franco in your dreams and Tomlin in a bar this week. That's a lot of Steelers.
It's been a black and gold week.
All right, Parlay, that's all I got for the fans. You got anything else this week?
I got nothing.
Got nothing.
No baseball. Baseball done. I got
Baseball's
nothing.
over. I was wrong. Dead wrong. I picked the Dodgers.
I was with you on that. But, hey, I'm glad that I predicted them because I wanted the Astros.
It's all right. I won
the place for the people. That's why he predicted a Steelers loss at Detroit so that they would win. And the people were happy. They praised Parlay.
I won the bet with Dash about the Pirates going under 500, so I'm good for the year.
Talk about a gimme.
Fans, questions, comments, hit us up on Twitter at bet_the_spread. Hit me up on Twitter at betjimthewin. Check out our Facebook page at facebook.com/betthespread. Come back to YouTube, click subscribe, share it with your friends. Start gift wrapping the spread for Christmas because you know that's what everybody wants.
Ho, 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 ho.